flat where he lived were Muslims. And one day they took him to one side and said, look, there is a better way. You don't have to drink yourself into oblivion to be happy. And he reverted to Islam, took Shahada. So my wife and I woke up and we started to look at Islam, and then we reverted to Islam, and then I had to go and tell my father, who was 78 years old, and he reverted to Islam the next day, right, at the age of 78. So that was how we came to Islam. I'm a journalist by profession. I've written 14 books, over 2,000 articles and features. I've done work for TV, radio, which I still do, and I enjoy my work. But that's how I came to Islam. But the important thing, I have to say, it's not the journey to Islam that's important. It's what you do when you get there. It's a bit like going on holiday, all right? The journey may be very nice, but the thing you really want is a holiday. So when I got to Islam with my wife and I and my family, it was like, okay, what do we do now? So of course, from a spiritual perspective, we embraced Islam, and we do our very best to be good Muslims. But what I really want to talk to you about today is something that tends to get neglected, okay? This is where I want to finish, and this is probably to take a little bit longer. One of the aspects of being a good Muslim is to also be a good citizen. This is important, and it's something that's sometimes neglected, okay? And you hear people say, well, if you sort of like, if you work with the world outside of Islam, maybe in some way that people think it weakens your iman and your faith and things, and you have to be one or the other. You can't be like a connected citizen and a Muslim, the two are sort of antithetical. Well, they're not, actually, and being a good citizen is actually a requirement of being a good Muslim. So this is something that through the media I've tried to promote. And to just illustrate the point, I'd just like to read you some quotes. These are hadith. Okay, just a few. I've got loads, right? But I haven't got time to read them all out, okay? This is how we should be treating people on the outside of Islam. This is how we should be writing to them. According to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay, this is how we should be writing. A perfect Muslim is one from whose tongue and hands mankind is safe, and a true immigrant is one who flees from what God has forbidden. Next one. The Messenger of God, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said to me, son, if you are able, keep your heart from morning till night, from night till morning, free from malice towards anyone. And then he said, he that loves one of my laws, he that one loves me. The person who is nearest to God is he who pardons when he has someone in his power whom he could have injured. It is unworthy of a mu'min, that's a person with faith, to injure people's reputations, and it's unworthy to curse anyone. Assist your brother or sister Muslim, whether he be an oppressor or oppressed. What? Assist fellow Muslims even if they are the oppressors? And someone said to him, is that what you really mean? And he said, how would you do that? And he said, by stopping and oppressing other people. So when someone's being oppressed, you not only work with the person who's being oppressed, but you also help the oppressor actually by stopping them doing the bad thing they're doing. The exercise of religious duties will not stone for the fault of an abusive tongue. A person cannot be called a Muslim until his heart and his tongue are so. So how we react, I could go and read loads of stuff, okay? About, Muhammad said that God is gentle and loves gentleness, that we should not oppress mankind and so on. So when you become a Muslim, when you've gone through that journey, you are actually at the beginning of a much bigger journey, and we are all ambassadors for Islam. Every one of us is an ambassador. And we have to remember that how we act and how we react, every word that comes from our mouth, every deed, every act that we do is very, very important, because people watch us and we have to reflect Islam as it really is.
We want people in our communities to say, when they see a woman in a hijab, or a brother walking down the street, are we glad we've got those people in our community? We don't want them to hate us, we don't want them to dislike us or be frightened of us because we're strange. We want them to respect us. It's not enough for a Muslim. You see, the bar is higher for us. It's not enough for a Muslim to be a good neighbour. I'm sorry, that's not enough. We have to be the best neighbour you can ever be. The Prophet was once asked, who's your neighbour? And he said, 40 houses that way, 40 that way, 40 that way, and 40 that way. They're all your neighbours. And we have a responsibility to look after them. So we have to be the best neighbours we can be, the best employees we can be, the best employers, the best students. We have a higher bar to raise, and we have to be the best citizens. And I just want to follow with two quick examples of how our actions can affect other people. My wife and I, and she's happy to talk to anyone who wants to know about hijabs, okay? She's a hijabi, all right, and she's proud of it. She loves her hijab. Don't try and take her hijab away, man. I'm telling you seriously, right? You'll be in big trouble, right? So she's happy to talk to anyone who wants to know about hijabs, why Muslim women wear hijabs. Two things. 20 years ago, or more actually, I was in the police service. And my training officer happened to be a Muslim. I wasn't a Muslim at the time. And he was a great guy. I really got on with him. Anyway, as often happens in the police service, you sometimes find yourself in a spot of bother. He found himself in a spot of bother. And I said, don't worry, I've got your back. And we formed a really good friendship after that, a good relationship. And on the day that he left the station where I was a special constable, but also worked in the civilian post for the police. He called me into his office and he shook me hand and he said, I just want to thank you for what you did that time, you know. And I said, no problem. And he gave me something. He said, I want to give you a gift. And I've never seen him since. However, there is a letter on its way to Northumbria Police now, as I speak. They've arranged to put me in touch with this officer, right, after all those years. He's retired now, okay? But this is what he gave me. He gave me this book by Dr. Maurice Mikayl, The Bible, the Quran and Science. And it sat on my bookshelf. And years later, it bore fruit. See that one little act of kindness? See the fruit it bore? It was years later. He didn't have to give me the book, but he did. Now, finally, the final example I want to give you is my wife and I used to know a Christian pastor and his wife, and we were friends with them for years. And unfortunately, and I have to say this because it's true, to our horror, we discovered that they harboured the most horrible, racist and anti-Islamic sentiments, right? Which we didn't know anything about this. And it was so bad that I actually refused to go into a restaurant and eat with these people, right? That's how, and I wasn't even a Muslim then, right? But I was so offended. Now, this guy died, his wife remarried, and I get a phone call from her. And instead of telling me all this bad stuff about Muslims, okay, I said, I've never spoken to her since I reverted, and I said, guess what, I've got something to tell you, and I think you need to sit down. I said, my wife and I are Muslims. And she says, oh, that's lovely. I said, excuse me, you are the same, you know. And she went, yeah. I said, what changed you? You know what changed her? Let me tell you. I heard a new husband moved into a house. They're elderly now. And they were shattered, tired. 9 o'clock at night, there's a knock on the door. An elderly woman is standing there with a big tray filled with tea and food. She said, I saw you just moved in. You must be really tired after all, moving all those boxes and furniture. So I've made you something to eat and some tea to save you bothering. Okay? That was an elderly sister. And that one incident turned that woman around 180 degrees. And now she loves Muslims. She's not Muslim, but she likes Muslims now because she saw a different side. And we are all ambassadors. And so, you know, I'd just like to say it's not the journey to Islam. It's the really important thing. It's what we do when we get there. And we're all ambassadors for Islam, and we have to let people outside see. You know, I mean, when I was in the police service, I had a great time. Absolutely fantastic. And there's some friends of mine now, Muslims, actually, are planning to join the special constabulary in the regular police force. good for them. I hope they get in, because, if anybody is thinking of doing that, I would encourage it. It's a good way of connecting. You don't have to sacrifice your Islam. You don't have to water it down. Okay? You're doing some good community service. So be a good Muslim, but also be a good citizen. Okay? That's the message.
Hey, once he starts, you can't stop. Miriam, what's going on with this one? No, thank you very much. Thank you very much to Mikayl. If you do have any questions for him, he'll be sat where you're going to be sitting. Sitting on that table over there. You're more than welcome to join him. Ask any questions. Obviously, don't rip off, try and take Miriam's hair. Actually, I want to see her scrap, So if you want to try it, I want to see if she's going to stay,
I'm sitting next to the third hijabi on the left.
Just over there, if anyone wants to ask any questions, then please do be open and honest. Again, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for being in our marquee and having a look around. Don't worry, the claps are going to come in a bit, yeah? I want a nice clap, right? But again, please do help yourself to the henna, the food, learn a little bit about the Quran, your calligraphy, the test your knowledge. Speak to our volunteers. You're going to put your hands up right now. Yep, have a word with some of our volunteers. And again, thank you very much.